and manslaughter.
Tonight, Oakland Congresswoman Barbara Lee is weighing in, and she joins us now. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us. I want to ask your reaction, but in the context of the many instances we've seen where police officers have not been charged, let alone convicted, in the deaths of unarmed people of color. In this case, we have a victory for that community, but where do we stand? I mean, this is one small victory in a big scheme of things, isn't it?
Yes, thank you very much for having me with you tonight. This was a crack in the door that's been opened to police accountability. And the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act must be passed and signed into law, because this bill would allow for more transparency and would really say that in many ways no one is above the law, including police officers, and would end qualified immunity. And so while we're relieved today, again, so many African-American men, especially women, have lost their lives due to police murders, and now we can never go back, and we have to move forward. And the young people who have been in the streets marching and protesting, everyone has unified to make sure that the correct decision, and this was the right decision, and the right verdict was achieved.
Congresswoman, for people who haven't been following, that bill was named for George Floyd. The Democrats named it for him. It is aimed at police misconduct. It did not go anywhere in the Senate. So does today's decision fuel a new push? What's next for the bill?
Well, I think it does. You heard President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, who actually authored the bill in the Senate when she was in the Senate. Both spoke about making sure that this bill gets passed now and to their desk. And so I do think that the momentum is on our side, the side of transparency, accountability, the side of ending qualified immunity, and really beginning to reimagine policing. I believe that this hopefully will pass, but there's some tough negotiations taking place in the Senate, because there's some members of the Senate who do not want to see justice in this country for black and brown people, unfortunately, and that's what this basically, hopefully, will be about in terms of making sure that the accountability, transparency, and justice is finally done in terms of equal justice under the law, and in terms of preventing people from being murdered by people who are supposed to protect their safety.
You know, the video has been such a huge issue in all of this, because some are saying without this crucial piece of video evidence showing the excruciating 9.5 minutes of George Floyd's death, that perhaps there wouldn't be a conviction. We just had a case in Vallejo where a Vallejo police officer took a man into custody, an African-American military veteran, a Marine vet, into custody. He was sitting on his front porch videotaping an arrest of a relative of his outside on the street by a Vallejo police officer. John Burris is now taking up that case. I'm just curious, he was accused of interfering by videotaping an incident from his own front porch. So this video thing is huge, isn't it?
Yes, but, you know, we have to remember it's huge, but remember for the last 401 years, black people in America have been victims of not only slavery, but Jim Crow, lynchings, segregation, discrimination, and systemic racism and structural racism. So that's still embedded in the DNA of our criminal justice system and our policing. And that's what I'm talking about, why we must move forward. Because this is one day, one victory, one verdict. But we have so many people who have lost their lives, with videos or not. There have been many videos of unarmed black men and women being killed, and nothing has happened. And so fundamentally, we have to change these laws, and these laws have to be made and promoted and signed that promote and insist on the criminal justice system being a just system and not allowing for the disparities and the terrible murders of African Americans, which has been happening for so many years.
Hey, Congresswoman, some communities, Oakland is one of them, they're taking steps to have fewer police calls answered by police, instead using civilian experts in various fields. So does this decision today also fuel that movement? Will we see more of that?
I think that's a very good idea, because we're talking about policing and public safety that's never been public safety for many of our communities. And many people right now who have been arrested really should be treated for mental health conditions and issues, should be treated in terms of whatever underlying conditions they have, instead of being just placed into jail. And so we have to do this at the community level. And I say, yes, we have to reimagine policing and put resources into violence prevention efforts, into real public safety, into addressing poverty and health care and economic inequality. And so this is interconnected with just all of the systemic and structural issues in our country, which all are founded in and grounded in racism.
All right, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, as always, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Nice being with you.
Coming up, President Biden called the Floyd family after the verdict was read, what he had to say to them after